What's going on, everybody? Welcome into Falcons Today. It's your boy, Joey Peterson, different Petey, same football team. And let's talk about a Kyle Pitts trade because Jordan Shultz reported this morning that the Falcons are getting calls on Pitts and that they want a day 2 draft pick. Here's the tweet from the NFL Insider. Nothing is intimate, and Atlanta would prefer to keep him. But I'm told it would take at the very least, a day 2 pick to even spark serious talk. So if you're not that, involved and locked in on what the NFL draft is and the NFL draft just in general, a day 2 pick, basically they want either a second rounder and a third rounder. And that's kind of where I want to start off is they're not probably going to get a day 2 pick, and not because Kyle Pitts isn't worth it, but because of the fact that once you trade for him, you'd have to pay him as well. And so a lot of teams probably don't see the value in that because they might say, you know what? Let's just wait a year and see if he even re-signs with Atlanta, see if he even gets extended and we can just get him in free agency. Now, if this was a couple years ago, sure, he'd be worth a day 2 pick. But not at this point in his current contract. And we've seen the production, I don't want to say table off over the last couple of years, but back-to-back seasons with 600 yards. Not bad, not what everybody expected when they originally drafted Pitts so many years ago. But also, you could blame that a little bit on the quarterback play, right? And that's why I think the fact is they're not going to get a day 2 pick, partly because I think they want to keep him, just like Jordan Shultz said, because they believe in what he'll be able to do with a guy like Michael Penix Jr. at the helm. Let's talk about what you would save, though, if you do trade him away, because this is legitimate, right? Jordan Shultz is the one reporting it. This isn't something like, Athlon Sports. This is a guy with legitimate sources who's been covering this league for a very long time. So it's real to talk about. And the Falcons would save $10.8 million if they do trade Kyle Pitts. So that's a question they have to ask themselves. Is it worth a day 2 pick, most likely an early day 3 pick, and $10.8 million to give away a guy who's probably expected to have his best year yet with this new look offense? We're going to break down that in just a second, but make sure that you guys are subscribed. Okay, if you do not want to miss a single thing, this is the place to be. Because if anything happens with Kyle Pitts over the next couple of weeks, over the next couple of months, over the entirety of the offseason, we got you covered right here. Already 36,000 loyal Falcons fans joined us every single day by subscribing. You guys can be the next ones to do it, so hit that big red sub button. When you look at the current state of the tight end room, it's obvious that there would be a pretty big drop down if Kyle Pitts did hit the exit door. Now, Charlie Warner, he played a lot last year, a lot more than I think a lot of people ever thought that he would, especially when you look at the statistics. Only 12 targets, 7 receptions, and 46 yards. It's just, he's not that type of tight end, right? He's not that tight end that you're saying, okay, let's game plan to get him the ball in open space, let him do with it what he will. No, he's the kind of guy you throw out there on 12 personnel and say, hey, look at the other guy in front of you. See that big defensive lineman? See that big linebacker in the second level? You go hit him as hard as you can. And that's not Kyle Pitts' game, right? Kyle Pitts is that guy, and we've seen that since we wanted to draft him, that, hey, let's get this guy the ball as many times as you can in open space, in the red zone, near the end zone, because when he has it in his hands, it's special what he can do with it. He can make things happen, okay? And if he's gone and Charlie Warner is that option, you just lost a really good offensive player. Now, you could backfill him in a way. There are a couple of decent free agent tight ends still available. Jordan Akins, Hayden Hurst is an interesting name, Los Angeles. CJ Uzoma, Gerald Everett, Mercedes Lewis, even though he's like 57 years old at this point. So there's some options in free agency. Hayden Hurst is probably the one that piques my interest the most. There's also some options you could possibly trade for. I'm thinking Mark Andrews with Baltimore. I'm also possibly thinking what's the tight end from Philadelphia? Dallas Goedert as well. And so it's like there's some options for trade, but like if you're trading away Kyle Pitts, I don't know how interested they'd be in trading for someone else. I kind of think they'd probably more likely go the free agency route. I want you guys to be honest with me. down below. Do you want to trade Kyle Pitts? Give me a yes or give me a no in the comment section. Really, really curious to hear your answers. My initial thoughts and initial reactions is no. Okay, I'm really excited, and I want to see what this offense will look like with Kyle Pitts and with Michael Penix, and I want to pay Kyle Pitts. I want him to be good enough in 2025. When we're saying at the end of that season, we would be silly to not extend that contract. But you guys let me know your thoughts in the comments section. Speaking of trades, let's talk about Jalen Ramsey, a cornerback that we talked about a good bit on this channel. He's been, I'll be honest with you, on a lot of these chat sports channels because he's such a big name, and we know that Miami is shopping him for a trade. And CBS Sports recently posted an article, and they listed the Atlanta Falcons as a landing spot for Jalen Ramsey. How legitimate is that? How possible is that? And kind of what would he bring to Atlanta? That's all about what we're going to discuss on the rest of today's episode, because he's a guy that, sure, I don't want to say he's fallen off over the last couple of seasons, but his best years, I think, are behind him, okay? And I don't think that's ridiculous to say that. Now, that doesn't mean that he doesn't have some good years left in him, right? If he gets to the right team, right situation, he could still be a really good player. But you also have to ask the fact of, like, is he worth the money? Is he worth that contract? Because if you trade for him, you get him in here, you have to pay him that money. And if you look at the cap hits and think about the cap hits in 2026, in 2027, and in 2028, they are astronomical. And you already have a team that's got a lot of really good players on both sides of the ball, that over the next couple of years, they're going to enter into free agency. So it's like, would you rather get an aging Jalen Ramsey in the building, or would you rather, save that money to be able to pay your young players who are already in this franchise, already with this team, and keep them around for longer? And if you're asking me, I would prefer option B. Like, I just don't necessarily think the Falcons need him. Now, there is a difference between wants and needs. The Falcons could want him. You could want him. I necessarily wouldn't turn him down. I still think he's a good player. But if you think about the secondary group and where that room currently sits right now, both at the safety position and at the cornerback position, in the nickel and on the outside, like, they got a lot of really good players. If you add Jalen Ramsey to this group, yeah, it gets better, but I just don't necessarily think that it's worth it when you talk about the money. The trade wouldn't be that big. Like, you wouldn't have to pay that big of a price trade-wise to get him in the building. But again, it's all about the dollar bills. It just doesn't make sense with the current way that this defense and roster is shaped. You guys let me know in the comment section down below. Should the Falcons trade for Jalen Ramsey? If they think they should, go ahead and give me a T for trade. And if you're saying, let's move on, I don't want them, go ahead and give me a P for pass. Appreciate you guys tuning in on this wonderful Friday. Casual Friday here at the office, as you can see. Hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And if you enjoyed the content, you're still watching, so it's obviously you did a little bit. Make sure to lock us in, make it Facebook official, and hit that subscribe button.